It is the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Let's talk Eyre Peninsula netball now. And look, there is a competition returning this weekend, and that is our friends down in Great Flinders. They are back. Well, a couple of the clubs will be anyway, 4 of them. Joining me on the line to go through EP netball again this winter is the president of the Port Lincoln Netball Association, Joe Franklin. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really well, Jace. Really well.
I can't stop making mention of that.
Oh, I know. One foot in front of the other, and hopefully we'll be there by the 30th of April when Port Lincoln starts.
Well, that's probably the first place we should start, actually, is having a look around the EP for when everyone does get back. So Lincoln itself won't get underway until the 30th. You're going to avoid Easter and Anzac Day altogether, right?
Yep, that is exactly what we've tried to do, and just hoping that maybe most of COVID would have been through Port Lincoln by then.
Makes sense.
Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Who knows?
Well, let's hope it's on the downward trend by then at least. We've got a few more weeks to get through there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the other, obviously, the 2 competitions that we're going to spend most of our time talking about through the winter are Eastern Eyre and Great Flinders. So Eastern Eyre, they don't get underway officially until the 23rd of April, so they will play that weekend of Anzac Day, bearing in mind that Anzac Day is on the Monday. Yep,
they will be, and I believe that they will be having an Anzac Day game on the Monday. Did they end up going ahead?
I haven't heard officially yet. It's not listed on their website, but that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. So we'll aim to have some details from them as soon as we can get it. I've placed a couple of calls already with our friends at Centrally United, but clearly you haven't heard anything either, Joe.
No, other than the fact that they were thinking about doing the Anzac game, seeing as it was on the Monday. But other than that, I have heard that there's a couple of new coaches in teams up that way, so that will be interesting to see how they go. Been a few ins and outs in some of the clubs, but certainly we'll do some more background information on that between now and their starting date.
Yep. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but traditionally I think there used to be a traditional Anzac Day clash at Cow, wasn't it?
We used to rotate between Cow and Cleve, depending on where the Anzac Day march would happen. And so I've got a feeling Cow might have hosted it last year. Not 100% sure on that though, but yes, it used to rotate between Cow and Cleve since all the amalgamations and the extra team coming in. I'm not sure whether that still does or doesn't happen, but it certainly happens in one of those 2 places so that they can coincide with the dawn services and the marches.
All right. Well, we'll aim to find out some more information. Just for argument's sake, the round 1 matchups as they are selected at the moment, and we won't spend any time on these. We'll cover these in coming weeks. But Eastern Eyre are taking on Ports at Cleve in round 1, with Centrally United hosting Cow at Warramboo. That's the plan at this stage. So you would think if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen in Cleve between Eastern Rangers and Ports, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
We'll talk more about that in the future. Let's move down to Great Flinders, where we do have some more concrete data as to what's happening there, because their season kicks off this weekend.
Yes, it does start this weekend, and it's all crept upon them a little bit quickly as well, I think, Jason. Way back when you start organising all these things, you think, oh, yeah, that gives us heaps of time. But then all of a sudden, bang, it's here. And the talk all this week, of course, at school has been, 3 teams have byes, and so we don't start until after the Anzac weekend, and then you've got some teams who are playing, and it's all happening up that way, that's for sure.
It most certainly is. So there are 3 teams with byes. I'll go back and get the right week here, but 3 teams with byes, and then unfortunately, because of Easter being where it is, so the whole comp will have next weekend off, and then everyone will be back. Bearing in mind there is a bye in this comp as well. Round 2 is that Anzac Day weekend. So it's going to be a bit disjointed to start with, but it's the way the program needs to work with 7 teams.
Yeah, it is the way it needs to work with 7 teams, and with the fact that, you have to have the June long weekend, and then you have state championships with the footy that you have to have that weekend off, and all sorts of things that factor into it to make sure that, you get to your grand final on the day that you need it. So, programming this year has been quite hectic.
Yes.
It's just been really hard.
just to throw a spanner in the works. Easter and Anzac Day so close together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But nonetheless, there will be 2 matches played this weekend. So the 3 clubs that have the bye, we'll start with them: Cummins, Kippini, Eyre United and Ramblers. Have you heard anything about how those 3 clubs are looking?
Well, Cougars were still looking really, really strong. They're certainly looking the goods. They have not lost a lot from last year at all. And I believe that Ella Minkin has gone in Ella Wedd has gone in as the coach of their ones, because Joanna Foster has moved to Tumby. They've moved their family down that way, and so she's gone down there and helping out coaching down there this season. So Ella takes on that role, and I believe, they've still got really good, strong numbers and have not lost a lot from last year's side, so they will still certainly be the side to beat. Lock have Lisa Smith, Lisa Burrows. She's been married in the last few weeks. She is taking on the job of coaching the A grade that way, so I'm assuming she'll also come into that side as either a goaler or a defender. Whitney Wright will also come into that mix this season. So they'll have lost Christy Zirk. I know they've definitely lost her. A couple of ins and outs there, but definitely picking up Lisa will be, and Whitney will be a bit too big ins for them up that way. And what I do know about Ramblers, sadly, is that they lost all bar one of their A grade side from last season. So their numbers are not looking real flash, and they are looking at rebuilding a whole new A grade side, and that is a worry all of its own if you are the coach of that side trying to put that together. Kira Simon, young Kira Simons has taken on that role. So for a young girl, 21 years old, is a fair undertaking, but she's not able to play this year because she had a severe ankle injury last year, and the surgeons have said to her that would be a good idea if she builds it up before she starts playing, so to have another season, to have this season off. So she has taken that role on. Good on her, because somebody needs to step into that role, but it is going to be a massive task.
Big undertaking. So Eyre United are the other team that had the bye. Have you heard any more about them?
Yes, they've had some influx up there as well. Some players from Lincoln have headed that way. Auntie Little and Shauna Warrior are 2 of those. So they've had a bit of an influx there. Unfortunately for them, Nadia Baldacera, is not going to be able to play this season, so that is a big out for them. But they've picked up some from down Lincoln Way who are going up there to help them out. Some of the Flables are heading that way as well. So again, they'll have the ins and the outs that they usually have every year happening there. And having said that, a couple of the inclusions might just really help them being competitive this year for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's have a look at the 2 matchups. You mentioned Lock earlier. They've got a few ins compared to their outs. So they'll host Tumby Bay in round 1. What have you heard about Tumby?
Well, I picked up Ilka for starters.
Yeah.
Ilka's fine.
That's pretty handy.
Has gone up there. So a pretty handy pick up there. That will certainly Waybacks will miss a lot. But Ilka's gone up there, and so that will be a huge in their goal circle. And they still have the majority of their team from last year, so they will probably be looking relatively strong, I think, and probably a little bit more settled from the start than what Lock will be. But Stacey Curtis is coaching Tumby Bay, so there's no doubt about the fact that she will have had them working very hard leading up to this first game, because in her first game as the coach, she'll want to make sure that she gets off to a winning start. Stace won't be starting the season. She had knee reconstruction, so she'll miss knowing Stace, it probably should be half the season, but knowing Stace will be the first round, then she'll be back into it. But I would think that Tumby Bay will be looking quite strong this year. They've got a couple of good young players through there. Young Taryn Benke, I'm not sure where she's at. She was carrying a little bit of an injury, so not sure whether she might have to come through the resis first. But they're looking quite good according to Ilka and Rihanna Foster, who's coaching there. Resis, I was talking to her the other day, and she said they've been training quite well. So, mind you, for Tumby Bay, COVID has hit them big time. Classes in their school had to be closed down and all sorts of things. So they not necessarily had everybody at training yet, but we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure how Lock have been affected by that, but like I said, they've got a couple of handy ins, and if they are going to have a win against Tumby, then they probably want to do that in this round, I would think.
Yeah, all right. Well, we move to Elston next, where the last two sides will do battle. So Elston Districts taking on United Yolana. What do you know about how these two sides are shaping up?
Well, I do believe that Elston and Western Districts have now made it official that they have amalgamated. As far as I know, that is the case. Not sure what Elston have picked up or what they have lost. Haven't had a chance to catch up with anybody from that way, but I don't know that they've lost a lot from last season. But Yolana have picked up Cassie Maxfield, which is a huge pickup for them. She will make a huge difference in their defence end for sure this season, because that was one of the areas that they probably lacked a little bit in last year. They're still going to be relatively young. Got a couple coming back from having had babies. So, yeah, they will certainly be more competitive than what they were last year, and certainly looking to win a few more games than what they did last year. It will be interesting. Haven't heard whether Cassie is taking any extras. I know Reece Francis is coaching the footy up there this year, so whether Jasmine is going to have a pull on a blue and yellow dress up there and help them out, because that could be quite interesting with her and Cassie both heading up that way. That's certainly a couple of really good injections into the club up that way. So, but yeah, look, I would think that Elston. Like I said, I don't believe they've lost a lot, so I think that they probably would be pretty much looking forward to getting the season off with a win.
All right. Well, that is your round one action there in Great Flinders netball. Good luck to everyone. The four clubs taking the courts this weekend. Hopefully the numbers are up and the COVID situation hasn't bitten anyone too hard. But we're going to see some outlying results this year, I think, that are just going to be a bit weird, and that will be why. Oh,
absolutely, Jason. There's no doubt about that. Look, we just week to week, you just don't know from week to week who is a close contact or who's actually tested positive. And I think everybody's just going to have to be pretty flexible this year and make a few allowances for those sorts of things and run with it, really. Otherwise, we could be forfeiting week in and week out. I just think that, we have to be a bit flexible and look, it has been pretty rampant over this way. So I know that clubs have found it really, really difficult to select their teams or even a squad for these first couple of rounds. So it will be interesting. It could be just like the Giants last week in the Super League, where they had to bring in some of their second and third tier players to play the Thunderbirds. But really, in the end, it is what it is, and you just got to run with it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, that's where we'll leave it this week, Joe. Enjoy the weekend. Look forward to catching up with you again next week to see how the matches went.
No worries. Thanks for that, Jace. You take care.